kind of do a live demonstration through Canva, so that way you can see some of the tools that you have available to help improve the designs that you're sending to us, hopefully, or maybe some other DTF printer. And basically what I want to be able to do here, so this is not going to be a deep dive into how to design in Canva. This is going to help you be able to import designs that maybe you're receiving from customers. In fact, let me bring up my agenda here. So we're going to just kind of first go over just general art requirements for DTF transfers. We're going to go over getting started in Canva as far as properly sizing your artboard, showing the ruler, importing designs, whether those designs are things that you've purchased from Etsy or from artists, or maybe your clients have sent you like a company logo. We'll be able to show you how to upload those and import them into Canva. We're going to show you how to build a gang sheet in Canva. We do have a gang sheet builder available on our website, but I think that some of you might enjoy being able to use Canva to be able to build out gang sheets. The benefits there would be that you could build your gang sheet and you could save it to your computer. So that way, if you find that you're, reordering the same logos or the same type of images for your customers, you don't have to keep rebuilding that gang sheet. You can basically, give it an easy to identify name, save it to your computer, and then it would be really easy for reordering. Let me just check. Okay, good. Excellent, Tammy. I'm glad you can see it now. There might be a delay too, so that kind of makes it a little confusing on my side. So we're going to talk about white color in your images versus transparent space, and how you can kind of check yourself when you're working in Canva to make sure that you are getting white to print in areas where you want white versus transparent space. And what I mean by transparent space is when your shirt color is showing through an area. So, if you think about the letter O, for example, the center area of the O that is open, that would be transparent. If you were to put that on a black shirt, let's say it's a white letter O, if you were to put that on a black shirt, the idea would be that the black shirt would show through the center of that O. We're also going to talk about transparent space around the edges of your design. This is often what will cause issues in your sizing of your designs when you are either building it on a gang sheet within Canva or even building it in the gang sheet builder on our website. So definitely pay attention there. We're going to talk about exporting your images out of Canva to be able to send them to us for printing. This is really a big area where I think a lot of people might know how to get started in Canva and kind of bring their images in. But then they don't know there are a couple key steps that you have to take when you're exporting your image out of Canva to be able to send to us to print. And so we're going to touch on that today. And hopefully that's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to, submitting your files to us. I'm going to touch on the difference between vector and raster images. This is like a super deep, it could be a very deep conversation. I'm going to just kind of brush over it. I suggest maybe you just make some notes on that terminology, a vector image versus a raster image. That's something that you could even do a really deep dive on Google, where you could get some examples of, what a vector image is versus a raster image. And again, just how to try to get the best possible quality, regardless of which type of image that you're working with. We will go over mockups, how to create mockups. Basically, I'm going to show you how to kind of skim the ready to press images off of our website and then put that on a shirt mockup. You can, of course, put it on, tote bags or pillows or whatever it is. But I'm going to show you how to do that in Canva as well. In case you did not know, you are allowed to use the images that we have posted in our ready to press library on our website. We always use a generic watermark. It just says do not copy. It doesn't say anything about we print, you press. And basically that watermark is just there to protect the image and to protect the designer that invested their time and energy in creating that image. We want to make sure that we make it a little bit harder for somebody on the internet to try to steal that artwork and put it on a t-shirt or something. So a lot of the artists that we buy our artwork from have rules that we have to follow, which we'll touch on that as well. A lot of people ask why they can't build a gang sheet using the images in our ready to press library. Simple answer there is that a lot of our artists don't allow us to do that. And rather than us trying to keep track of which ones allow it and which ones don't, and us potentially making a mistake, we just don't allow it at all. You can always, if you're passionate about putting those images on a gang sheet so that you can get better pricing, we're happy to tell you what designers provided us with those images, and you can always go to their Etsy shop or their website and buy them directly as well. And that's assuming that they're designs that we've put up within the last year. We're trying to be more methodical about notating which designer created those images, so that way when you guys do ask, we can tell you exactly where they came from. Something I wasn't doing in the very beginning, like, almost 3 years ago. And then we'll just do at the very end, after we do the mock-ups, we'll just kind of do one quick review of the art guidelines that we recommend. So that way you can really get the highest quality DTF transfers when you're placing your order with DTF printers. And then we do have some discounts available for you guys that we will share with you at the very end of the presentation. So again, if you have questions as we're going through, please post them in the comments on Facebook if you're watching there, or post them in the Q&A section on Zoom, and I'll make sure that I go back through there. We are recording this, so I will post the recording in our Facebook group when we're done. If you would like to get an email of the outline that I'm showing you right now and the recording, please send me an email at hello@weprint.com. And then tomorrow when we get back to the office, we'll make sure that we get those links sent directly to your inbox. That way you don't have to go searching through our group trying to find them. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, so let's see. I am going to switch over. I'm hoping that you're going to continue to see. Let's see here. I'm going to do a new share just because I want to make sure. Here we go. This is what we want. We want my whole screen, because I'm going to be moving in and out of different tabs on the internet. And so I want to make sure that everybody can see that. So I'm just going to give it, I think there's like a 7-second delay between Zoom and Facebook. So I just want to make sure that that change I just made is not going to cause an issue with anybody seeing this. Let's see here. Now, some of the things that I'm going to be showing you will require a paid version of Canva. Unfortunately, it is required if you're trying to export transparent images. I believe that you can still improve your resolution when you go to export your image, but in order to export your final files as a transparent image, meaning there's no background, there's no white that's going to print, there's no white square, I should say, or no black square that's going to print. You do have to have the paid version for that. So you may need to sign up, maybe just for a trial version, and see how it works for you before you actually make the investment in that. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're in Canva, let's say you received a logo from your customer. What I always like to do when I come into Canva is go to the top right corner where it says create a design. I'm going to click there. Then in the bottom left of that menu, you can see where we can create a custom size artboard is essentially what we're doing right now. I always like to do this because I can be very specific on the artboard size that I want to design. So let's say that you know that you want to create a 12 by 12 inch transfer. The first thing you're going to want to do when you come in here is this drop down menu here generally defaults to pixels, which is PX. I prefer to set it to inches. If you're super smart and you can work in millimeters and centimeters, and of course use those, but that's not for me. So we're going to go with inches. And for the first one, I'm just going to do 12 by 12. And then we will do a gang sheet afterwards. So you can see I'm setting my artboard so that it's going to be 12 by 12 inches. And then I'm going to click create a new design. Now, the thing to keep in mind when this opens your artboard here, I've got the rulers showing, and I'm going to show you how to make sure that you have the rulers appearing um, in your Canva account as well. I think this is really important because unfortunately, sometimes people will miss this very first step. And the challenge there is if you don't realize that it's in pixels and you let it set to the default, quite frankly, I don't even know what 300 by 300 pixels equates to in terms of inches, but it's really small. And it would be similar to creating an artboard that, let's say, is 1 inch by 1 inch or 3 inch by 3 inch. When you open that artboard on Canva, in this particular view that we're looking at, you're never really going to know if you're looking at a box that is meant to be 12 inches by 12 inches or 1 inch by 1 inch. So what I recommend doing is if you go to File and then View Settings, and then you can see here where it says Show Rulers and Guides. I've got a check mark here. And that is what is going to, it's probably, yeah, now it's going to turn it off. So let me go ahead and turn it back on. So it's File, View Settings, Show Rulers and Guides. And then you can see the ruler across the top, and you can see the ruler down the left side of the screen. And you can see that that artboard is perfectly aligned with the 12 by 12. So this is just kind of a visual checkpoint for you to remember what size artboard you're working on. Now, if you're working on creating a design from scratch, I would say always, always, always build it at 12 by 12 or even 15 by 15 inches, because you can always scale that image down. Let's say you want transfers that are big enough for a front or a back and you want them at 12 inches, but then you also want to do them as a chest and you want them to be 3 inches. Well, you can scale your 12 by 12 down to 3 inches without a problem, but you can't go the other way. If you design an image or a logo at 3 inch by 3 inches, and then you want to scale that up to 12 or 15 inches, you're not going to be able to do that. Canva is what's called a raster-based program, which means that you have pixels, all those little boxes that you see when you zoom in close to an image. Those are essentially your pixels. And the computer's just not really smart enough to figure out when you're trying to upsize from a 3-inch design up to a 12-inch design, where and how to fill those pixels in to maintain the integrity of your image. Let's see. So as you can see, we're 12 by 12 here. And you know what? I already skipped over just a real quick part on the agenda. So I think most of you have probably seen me before. I do a lot of the lives and a lot of the videos, but I'm Danielle Liu. I am the owner of We Print You Press. My husband and I both own it and work in the business together. My background before I started my business, my first business 12 years ago, was marketing. I absolutely love all things marketing, whether it's email, social media, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, if you ever have questions or are trying to figure out ways to promote your business, feel free to shoot us an email. I'm happy to just give you some kind of ideas, help you kind of think outside of the box. And eventually I will be doing some trainings on some marketing as well. But I just felt like Canva was kind of like the basic building blocks for a lot of people in this business to ensure that you are creating quality images for your customers before you hit the ground with, you know, all kinds of marketing. So my first company is Stitch to My Lou Promotions. It is still in operation. I started that company 12 years ago. We do all kinds of promotional products, custom apparel, that kind of stuff. That was actually 2020 was kind of a pivotal year for my business, of course, for a lot of people. Because of COVID, so much was shut down and things really made a very slow recovery in terms of production times, even into, you know, as we went into 2021. I decided to invest in these DTF, these direct to film printers, mainly for that business because I wanted to be able to deliver finished products to my customers a lot faster than what we were getting with our outsourced screen printing and embroidery. And so as I was waiting about 4 months for my first printer to be delivered, I decided that I would build this second website called We Print You Press and basically offer the transfer service to other people. You know, my hope was to be able to help other promotional product distributors like myself. But then, you know, like as I've gotten the opportunity to interact with a lot of you guys, I find that, you know, many of you were using Cricut or vinyl, and there's a lot of limitations to using vinyl. Of course, you can only get so many colors. It can be very time consuming with the weeding and all that fun stuff. So for the last couple of years, we've been serving companies of all different sizes, whether it's an individual working out of their home, as large as some major screen print facilities across the country. We will print transfers for them as well. So just, you know, wanted to kind of give you a quick background on who I am and why I think I, you know, am able of sharing this information with you guys. And so, you know, really the whole reason is because the more successful you guys are, then ultimately that is going to lead to the success of We Print You Press. In addition to my husband and I working in the business, we've got about 12 employees that work within the business, 2 ladies that help with customer service. They also, everybody kind of jumps around depending on where the help is needed. But basically we have different people that are working in the different areas of the business. So whether that's packing and shipping, checking the orders, you know, answering customer service questions, tracking down orders when our lovely carriers decide to lose them, or, you know, they just kind of disappear in thin air, or deliver them to the wrong house, whatever it is. And then we've got, you know, people that also are constantly doing some research on Etsy and some other websites, trying to find new designs. We're trying to make sure that we're staying at least 2 to 3 months ahead of holidays and different events, so that way that helps you guys work ahead. You know, I recommend, you know, kind of always thinking of the job that you're doing kind of backwards. So if you know that Christmas is in December, at the end of December, and you need 2 weeks to be able to make t-shirts, and you need 2 weeks to be able to find the customers and promote the shirts, you know, to people that want to buy them, and you know that you need to, you know, order the transfers from, you know, We Print You Press or another printer, and there's a lead time. Either you don't want to pay a rush fee, or you just don't have the budget to pay a rush fee based on how you've priced your products with your customers, whatever. You just want to kind of think about all of the pieces of your timeline and how they fit together, so that way you can figure out when do you need to start working on Christmas designs or Easter designs or Halloween designs. My general rule is 2 to 3 months ahead of time. You're always going to have those stragglers where people are going to want things last minute, but you can operate your business much more efficiently if you're kind of thinking ahead, and putting those products out there for your customers ahead of time. So, all right, so let's get back to our art board here. So this was our 12 by 12 art board, and I am going to bring in my company logo, and we will start there. Okay. So here's my logo. You can see right now that the edges of my logo are not extending to the edges of my artboard. So if I were to export this image right now in its current form, it's going to tell you that the file is 12 by 12. The file is 12 by 12 because of this artboard in the background here. But if you can see this box here that is perfectly around just the, you know, outermost edge of any pixels. That particular box, let's see, and you kind of have to grab this bottom right corner circle to adjust your size. So let's just make this an even, let's see if I can get it. There we go, pretty close. 10. So we're 10 inches wide by 9.5 inches tall. So if you were to upload this to our gang sheet builder right now, you might run into some problems if you don't recognize that you've exported your artwork with a transparent background, but it's going to export it at the 12 by 12 size that you have set your artboard at. So what I always recommend is you want to take your image and you want to make sure that you make it as large as you possibly can, expanding to the outermost edges. Now you can see that this is 12 inches wide, and it's, let's see if it'll give me a specific, 11 and a half, let's call it 11 and a half inches tall. So we've got a little bit of transparent space here on the bottom. In this case, I would say this probably isn't going to cause any trouble with your sizing, because you know that from a width standpoint, your image is now extended edge to edge on this particular artboard. So when you go to export it, it's going to say that your image is 12 by 12, and you're going to be able to see, and I'm going to go ahead and show you, because basically what we do when we get your orders is we pretty much open everything in either Photoshop or Illustrator. Again, depends on if it's a raster-based image or a vector-based image. If it's a PNG, that's a raster file. We're going to open it in Photoshop, and we want to see what is the physical size that you have created your artwork at, and what is the resolution that you have exported it to. Now, another thing that I want to show you, I'm going to click on this, and actually, let me do this. I'm going to shrink this back down again, just so that way you can easily see the artboard. So right now I've selected the artboard that's in the background. It's white. The problem with having a white background is you can't see in this image, is there anything that's going to print white, or is it all transparent? So like right now, if you look at my image, you see this, what looks like what might be a white outline around the black font spelling out "We Print, You Press." So what I always like to do is change the background color to some random color that is not present anywhere in my design. Now, this is a pretty colorful design, so I am going to change my background to, let's just make it gray, okay? So now that I've made that background gray, now you can see there is no white that is going to print in this image. If I want to have a white outline printing around the black "We Print, You Press," then unfortunately that's not something that you can do in Canva that I'm aware of. We would need to import this into either Photoshop or Illustrator and do what's called adding a stroke to the text. So that way we can then add a border around it, change the color of that border, and make it white. So by changing that background, now we can see that there's no white in this image. And again, we're going to go ahead, I'm going to make this larger just so that way you can see it a little bit better. And so you can see, everything that's gray, this would be like you're wearing a gray t-shirt. Everywhere that you see gray, the gray t-shirt would be showing through. If we changed this to, let's try this mint green color just for the fun of it. Now, if you're putting this on a mint green t-shirt, everywhere that you see the mint green background showing through, your t-shirt is going to show. The other purpose in doing this too is if the opportunity arises, a lot of times with transfers, I don't know what color shirt you're putting your transfers on, so I'm not really able to ask and kind of do this checkpoint for you. But what I would suggest is, if you know your customer wants this logo and you know that they want to put it on a black t-shirt and they send you this logo, I would definitely do one check with the background representing the color of your t-shirt, because that's going to help you see, are there any areas of this design that are just going to blend in with the background, or maybe not pop right and just not look great. And so this is, something that you can do to be able to take the design back to the customer to be like, hey, here's kind of a virtual mock-up of what your logo is going to look like on a black t-shirt. And, we recommend that you either change the color of the "We Print, You Press" letters to white or something a little bit brighter, or we consider different color t-shirts. So I'm always a big fan of trying to put as much visually in front of the customer as possible before you have the expense of the transfers, or even worse, applying the transfers to a t-shirt and then the customer sees it and they decide that they don't like it. Sometimes that can be a difficult conversation. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go back to this gray background. Okay. So now let's say this is perfect. Let's say I want to order a 12 by 12 transfer, and some 3 by 3 transfers with this particular image. So what you're going to do now is we're going to go to the top right corner where it says share. Down here, you're going to see this download button. So we're going to click download. Okay. When you are sending this to a printer, PNG is going to give you that transparent background. We cannot print from a JPEG because a JPEG is going to force a white background onto your photo. So I always encourage, if you're working with raster-based art, that you're using a PNG. This particular logo of mine would actually work very well as a vector. I don't know if I have that as a vector right now, but we're not going to go there. A vector image is going to give you the highest possible quality of printing no matter what, because it's not made up by pixels. It's basically made up with a series of points and curves, like X and Y kind of, math coming back to haunt you. All right, so we're going to default to PNG. Now this bar right here, this slider bar, this is the step that too many people miss. And this is the step that is basically going to dictate the resolution of your image when you upload that to our website. What I tell people is grab this circle and go all the way over to the right. It's going to produce a large file. You're able to upload them to our website. You may not be able to email them to us. If you, for whatever reason, don't want to upload them to our website, and you're not able to email it because maybe the file size is too large, you can save it to a Google Drive folder, and you can send us the link to the folder. We can pick it up from there. There's also a file transfer service. It's called wetransfer.com. Super easy to use. I don't even think you have to register. You literally just enter your email address, you upload your image, you would enter my email address, you would click upload, and then it just sends. And then when we get it on our side, the second that we download that image out of WeTransfer, you get an email that says your image has been downloaded. Now that link that gets sent to us does have an expiration. I want to say it's a week, but just kind of keep that in mind if you're, kind of going back and forth with your customer or there's any kind of issue. We would only be able to access that link about a week after you send it to us. All right, so we've got the resolution is cranked up all the way. I'm going to open this in Photoshop in just a minute so that way you can see what we see. Now, the other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you check this box for transparent background. If you do not check that box, when this image gets exported, it's going to have that gray background as part of your image. And of course, you don't want that. I would presume you would not want that to print. With DTF, there's no reason for it to print. You don't need to have that solid square or rectangle of ink printing behind your design. It's going to look terrible and it's going to feel terrible, quite frankly. I'll do a training at another point to kind of give you some tips on how you can set up your design to soften the feel of it. Some customers don't like the feel of DTF transfers, and it could be because it's a big solid design. The nice thing about this particular design is that there's a lot of open space. There's a lot of transparent space. So the way that this image is designed, you could put this on a t-shirt, you will barely feel the image on there. So now that I've got the transparency bumped all the way up, drag that as far as it will go to the right. I put my check mark in this transparent background box, and now I'm going to hit download. And so then you're going to see a little status bar going. It's telling you that it's going to download. Generally, it's going to download to your download folder on your computer. And so here you can see, depending on how your computer is set up, like this, the way that this opened on your computer looks kind of scary. But I would say, don't worry about it. So we're going to close that. I'm going to go to Photoshop, and I want to make sure that my screen is following. Okay, I think it might be a black screen at the moment. Okay, it looks like you guys are seeing Photoshop now. Please drop something in the Q&A if you are not seeing my Photoshop screen. It's mainly black, and I've got this soccer mom image here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open that image that I just exported. And this is what we are looking at when you guys send your custom artwork in. So down here in the bottom left, we can see the physical size that this design was created at. It's showing that it is essentially 12 by 12. Your DPI or PPI needs to be at least 300 or better. And so you can see this is actually 521. So technically, you didn't have to bring that slider bar all the way over to the right. I just recommend doing it because sometimes it's hard to tell how far over to the right you should go. Okay, perfect. Okay. So if this was a custom image that we received from the customer, you would not hear from us. Basically, this looks awesome. We would get it set up for production. It would get scheduled for printing. I think most of you know that our normal production is 4 to 5 business days. If we're running faster, we do ship faster. We never we never hold stuff in the office just for the sake of the production time. If it's done, we ship it. In certain weeks and months out of the year, we run a little bit further ahead of time. Other times during the year, it gets crazy, of course, around the holidays, and then especially like around some of the bigger holidays like Easter and Christmas. Those, that time of year, we start to get a little bit crazy. I'm happy to say that I don't think we've ever printed late on like a wide scale. Every once in a while, we will have an order for some reason. I don't know if it's a technical issue. I don't know how it happens, but every once in a while, we'll get an order that just kind of slips through the cracks. If you feel like your order is taking too long, always reach out to us. We're happy to look into it, make sure everything is on track as we would expect. If we find that, somehow we have miss the mark with getting your order lined up to print and get it shipped on time, then we will generally end up expediting the shipping so that way we could try to make up for that lost time and get it into your hands as if it had shipped on time through ground. We can usually overnight it or second day air it to make sure that you get it when you would have expected. Okay, so this looks good. You can see this checkerboard pattern in the background. The point of that is to represent a transparent background. If you use the gang sheet builder on our website, you're going to see that same transparent background. So I just want to do a quick check-in on my agenda to make sure that I'm hitting everything. So we talked about properly sizing your artboard. Again, always go to that custom size, select your drop down, always change it to inches, or if millimeters and centimeters is your thing, do that. It's just a more recognizable form of measurement than pixels, and so I just think that it's always safer to design at that level. Importing a custom design, let me just show you this because when I worked on this design, I used something that I already had uploaded. So let's say you receive a logo from a customer and you need to get it into Canva. Basically, what you're going to want to do is over here on the left, you're going to scroll down this menu. You're going to see uploads. When you click uploads, it's going to show you either logos or images that you already have uploaded into your website, or I'm sorry, into your Canva account. Or up here, you can click on upload files, and now it's going to open, basically your file explorer, and you're going to go to whatever folder, you went to whatever folder you saved that logo. So let's see here. I'm going to bring this star in here. And so you can see it's loading that star. And now I'm going to click. Oh, and of course the star has a white background. So let me demonstrate this as well. All right, so I just, all you can do is single click on it. It's going to pop over onto your artboard. Again, you can see my artboard is 12 by 12, but the size that this star came in at is something smaller than that. And you can see too, see how even this white background here, there's some space here. I always suggest trimming or cropping as close as you are comfortable, meaning you don't want to accidentally, snip an edge, because that's not going to look good on your transfer. You want to get as close and as tight to the design as you possibly can. So in order to trim or crop in Canva, you use these little oval nodules on any of the sides, but then to increase or decrease the physical size of your image, you can use any of the circles in any of the corners. And the reason for that is because there is always a proportion to your image. So this star here appears to be not quite a perfect square. Sometimes we'll get people that will send us an image like this and they'll tell me that they want this to be 8 by 10. Or let's say they want it to be 8 by 6. Well, as you can see, the proportion of the width to the height does not allow that. You can't force this to be 8 inches wide and 6 inches tall without skewing or squishing the image. So always keep that in mind when you're working with your customers or with your own artwork. So for now, I'm going to delete my logo in the background. Now, Canva, if you are a paid subscriber, they do have a background removal tool. So let's see here. So with my image highlighted, I'm going to go up here to this edit photo, and then you're going to see this BG background removal. Now, when you use Canva to remove the background, it's really important that you have a high resolution photo, because one thing that can happen if it's a low resolution image and you try to remove the white background, it is going to leave some pixel remnants that are a little white and a little red. And you're not going to see that on the screen here, but you will see it when you get your transfers. And so sometimes if you've ever ordered transfers from us or anybody else, you could see a white outline around your transfer. There's a lot of different reasons that could happen. Some of those reasons are because of the art being poor quality. Some of those reasons are the printer. It could be that the alignment is off, or there's something called the choke, that white underbase that's underneath the color. Sometimes it could be peeking out too far, where we might have to adjust the choke to bring it in a little bit more, so that way you don't get that that white around the edge. If you ever get transfers from us and you see that you have a white border around your transfers and you don't know why, please give us a call. We're happy to look into it. If it's something that we have done that needs to be fixed, we'll certainly take care of it. But then we can also go back to your artwork and and use it as an education point to say, well, your resolution is too low, or you sent us a 10-inch image and you asked us to print 12-inch transfers. therefore your resolution was lower, and that can be, you know, kind of a cause for it. But you can see here that now I've gotten rid of that white background. Again, if you were to export this as an image, you're going to want to make this as big as you possibly can, so that that way, when you go to size your transfer on a gang sheet, or you go to tell us what size you want, we can make sure that there's no, you know, transparent space around the perimeter, and that you're going to get better better sizing on your transfer. Let's see here. All right, so I think I've got pretty much everything on the getting started in Canva. I think what I want to be able to show you now is how to build a gang sheet. So basically, Canva does have some file size limitations, although we can print a 22 by 120 inch gang sheet. I believe Canva will only allow you to go up to maybe like 70 or 80 inches long. So what I always recommend to people is to build it out, you know, maybe 22 by 60, because that is one of the sizes that we offer. And then that way it will make the ordering process for you a little bit cleaner. So to create that gang sheet, we're going to go back to the home screen of Canva. We're going to click on create a design in the top right corner. Again, go to the bottom left corner of that particular dropdown, click custom size, make sure that your unit of measure is selected on inches, and we're going to set the width. So the printable width on our printers is 22 inches, and we're going to set the height or the length 60 inches, and then we're going to create a new design. All right. Now you can see here is your artboard. Now you can use this little scroll bar down here to zoom in and zoom out on your artboard. Sometimes it's necessary as you're adding more images, especially if you're trying to get images on your gang sheet as tight as possible. You really want to make sure that nothing is overlapping. You know, we try to watch for things when you guys send in gang sheets, but the thing to understand is that there are so many things that our printer operators are watching that have to do with the mechanics of the printer, that sometimes the most obvious blatant art issue will not be seen. And that, you know, that is why we do say all over the place on our website that we print exactly what you send. You know, it breaks my heart when we find out that something made it past our team and got back to you, and it's, you know, a problem with the art that was uploaded to us. Again, always contact us. I'm happy to do whatever we can to work with you guys. You know, I never like to profit off of a mistake that's made, especially if it's a learning opportunity. You know, we try to help educate people on the process. It can be a little complicated, especially when you're new to the whole thing. All right, so here is the 22 by 60 artboard. Sorry, the controls for Zoom they keep getting in my way of trying to of where I need to click. So I've got a bunch of images on here that are available for me to load onto this gang sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click this image. It's going to bring it over here. I'm going to move it where I want it. And now you can see this particular image here right now is like over 16 inches wide, which is humongous. So I recommend generally working within 11 inches wide, because of the fact that you can get the most use out of the film that you're paying for. If you go to 12 inches, you could obviously, you know, squeeze in maybe some 3 or 4 inch chest designs next to it. But if you have a large order of, you know, shirt backs or shirt fronts, then when we quote it for you guys, if somebody sends me a request for 212-inch transfers, I will quote it for you at the 12-inch size, but I will also give you a quote at the 11-inch size. And you'll see that the cost to print those transfers is almost half at 11 inches as to what it is at 12 inches, because we end up with a lot of wasted film. And of course, we have to cover the cost of that film. So just something to keep in mind as you're finding designs and creating designs and quoting your customers. So we've got this here. Now, if I select my image and if I hit Control C for copy and Control V for paste, I've just made a copy of this. And now I can put them side by side. Now, depending on how your images are formatted, you might be able to squeeze them in there, pretty close and not have to worry about overlapping. So I'm going to zoom in here and you can see that, there's a little bit of space between the E at the end of the word game and the G at the beginning of the other word. It's pretty close. But they're not touching, they're not overlapping. And as long as you're comfortable with the space that's there to be able to squeeze a pair of scissors through there to cut up your transfers, then I would say use the space. If you want to get really aggressive using the space, you've got this open area here where, although your image boundary box is showing you that's spoken for, you could squeeze. Let's see. Why is it not going? Oh, I bet I know what happened. There it is. You could squeeze a small design in there. So let's make this one like 3.5 inches. And you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move the designs around. Sometimes it makes it a little less clunky. My mouse tends to want to jump around more than the arrow keys. So here you can see, whoops. Here you can see we've got that, chest design, so to speak, kind of squeezed in between there. So that way we're really maximizing the use, because the thing to keep in mind with the gang sheets is you're paying for the film. So your mission should be to fill the film as much as you can with as many designs as you can, without risking your designs overlapping when you're printing them. So just always pay really close attention as you're loading new designs onto your gang sheet. Now, the other question that we get asked with gang sheets is, can you load different designs? Can they be different sizes? Can they be different colors? The answer is yes. You can put whatever you want on here, any size, any color, as long as you don't go beyond the 22 inches wide, and then whatever length you've chosen, we can print it. We've had customers that will print a single image that's 22 by 45 inches, and they'll use that to press to like a tablecloth or a table cover for like a company logo. When a lot of times if you go out and do events, some businesses like to have a customized table cover. So that's another use, another way that you could offer DTF transfers to your customers. So let's see here. I'm going to add another one. Looks like my team must have been working on adding some baseball transfers to the website. There's a lot on here. Now, the other thing that you can do too is, there we go. These little arrows here allow us to rotate the image. Ugh, this makes me crazy when I can't get it perfectly straight. There. So now you can rotate the image. And again, I'm going to hit Control C to copy, and I'm going to hit Control V, and I'm going to hit Control V again. Is it going to make a liar out of me? I think it did. Yep. Okay, so I guess I have to hit Control C to copy, Control V. I have to do it one at a time, which kind of stinks. Okay. So there. So I just made 3 copies of that. Now here's a little trick. Let's say you want 3 more of these. You don't have to do them individually. What I like to do is just click somewhere where I'm not going to grab an image that I don't want, like down here where it's empty. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag my mouse through those 3 images, you can see now that they all have that purple outline around them. So now they're all selected. If I hit Control C to copy that and Control V, I have just copied all 3 of those transfers at one time. And so now you can see this gang sheet is getting pretty full. So just for simplicity, I'm going to make another set of 3. Now, the other thing that you do want to be careful of is zooming in and making sure that your designs are not off the edge of your gang sheet, because if they are off the edge on your design here, it will get cut off when you export it, and then that's how we're going to receive it. That's how we're going to print it. I can almost guarantee we're probably not going to catch that kind of mistake. Because it's usually so minor that it just doesn't jump out at us. And the other thing too is with gang sheets and customs, we don't know your art. It's your art. You're the most familiar with what it's supposed to look like. And so, we can't possibly stop and question everything that comes through. Otherwise, we would never get anything printed and out the door. And that would not be good. All right, so we've got a little bit more. Let's do this. I'm going to, where'd it go? The thing I don't like about it is when you add a new design, it looks like it defaults to the placement in the center of your artboard. So that's kind of annoying. I think that's just a Canva thing. There might be something in settings somewhere where you can change that. So I just did Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Control C, whoops. I'm using the arrow keys on my computer just so that way I can try to get these as snug as I can. All right, what else have we got here? Let's put this in there. So let's go ahead, let's rotate this. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. There we go. And let's see if we can fit anything else in here. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. There we go. Now, I don't know, maybe you could fit something in this space here if you really wanted to. But I think we've made pretty good use of the space on this particular gang sheet. So again, when you're all done and when it's time to export this, you want to go up here to the top right, click on share. You're going to come down to download. You're going to grab the slider bar, bring it all the way over to the right. Make sure you click that checkbox for the transparent background. That is a paid feature. And actually, it looks like this resolution thing too is a paid feature. That's usually what these crowns mean. And then we're going to click download. Now this one might take, a little bit longer than the other one, although it looks like it's going pretty good because this one is a larger file. The other one was 12 by 12 inches. This is 22 by 60. And then we increase the resolution as high as it would go. So I'm downloading this now. You can see it's taken a couple extra seconds at the end to come out. Let me just check the Q&A while this is doing that. How much is a 22 by 60? A 22 by 60, I believe, is $40. The 120-inch gang sheet is $70. So obviously there's a savings if you're doing one 120 versus two 60s. Now, if you're uploading your own gang sheets that you've built in Canva, you are able to go to our website and purchase the 120, select the drop down. There we go. Select the drop down that says that you're going to upload your image or email it or transfer it through WePrint. And you can, here, let me actually go there. That way I can show you. So when we're on the website, we're going to go under custom DTF gang sheets. If you make your 22 by 60 inch gang sheets in Canva, I would recommend going to the upload your finished gang sheet, because then we can let you trick the system into thinking that you sent us 120 inches, but you sent us 260 inches, and then you can benefit from the cost savings. If you use the build your custom gang sheet, well, and actually, I guess what you could do there is you would select your 120 inch, and then you would upload both of your 60 inches. You'd lay them out on that 120 inch, and then you could check out that way as well. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. But for this one here, I'm going to click upload your finished gang sheet. And in here, let's say you made 2 of the 22 by 60s. I would say go ahead and select your 22 by 120. In that case, I think you're going to have to send us the files through either WeTransfer or Google Drive, because I think that this is only going to allow you to upload one file. So that would really be the safest way to go. And so you could go ahead and say that you sent it via WeTransfer, and then you want to select your production time, whether you're going to go with the normal 4 to 5 business days, or if you're going to select an upgraded production rush at checkout. And then this here is, just to have everyone acknowledge that we are printing what you are sending us. We try to, pick up on any potential errors, but I can't promise that we're going to be able to identify any issues. In order for us to operate efficiently and keep our costs as low as we can, we have to be able to just print, what we get as it comes in. So then once you upload your file, then you would just add this to cart and you would check out like normal. Let's see. So I'm going to go back into Photoshop. I just want to open that gang sheet so that way you can see what that looks like on our side when we're checking it. There we go. So you can see down here in the bottom left, you can see the dimensions, 22 by 60. And this one here was only able to export at 300 DPI. And you're probably wondering, how could the 12 by 12 be over 500, but this is 300? It comes down to the actual size of the file that Canva is producing, and it does have limitations. And so, this at least meets the minimum requirements for being able to print your DTF transfers for you. All right. All right. So we talked about white color versus transparent. The only other thing that I should have done, and I started to do in the beginning and then I forgot, if I'm using Canva to build out a gang sheet, I don't like to leave that artboard white, just because there could be an issue with a design and you may never see it because it's white. So, and with a gang sheet, it can sometimes be a little trickier to find a color that you can use in the background that isn't in your design. So sometimes it does take a little bit of trial and error. So I just kind of picked like this light beige kind of color that looks like that might work. Or again, gray tends to be a safe color. And so, yeah, you can see, obviously, here's a good point right here. When my background is gray, you can see that the baseball prints with white to fill in the ball. But if you leave your artboard white, you don't know, and I don't know for sure if that baseball is going to print with a white fill. So by changing that artboard to a different color, just kind of helps you, gives you an additional checkpoint on that. All right. Export to send, print ready files. We did that. Increase resolution. We briefly talked about vector and raster. I really encourage you to go out to Google and just kind of do a deeper dive on the difference between vector and raster images. If you don't have the ability to create a vector image, we do offer that conversion service for you. If you just search for the word vector at weprintUpress.com, you can find that item and you can add it to your order. You only need to vector, it's per image. So if you have 3 images and you want 10 copies of each of those 3 images and you need them all to be converted to a vector, you would only need to purchase 3 vectors, 1 for each of your image, not for each of your transfers. If all of those images are the same and you're just getting different sizes, you only need to purchase 1 vector. I know that gets confusing. You can always email us and we can always help you with that. All right, so I think the last thing that we need to go over are the mockups. So let's go ahead and get that going. And this is probably faster and easier than I think many of you might realize. So here's what you're allowed to do on our website. So let's first go to the website. And we're going to go under the Shop Our DTF Design Library. Shop by keyword, theme, or collection. And I've got to update this because I think I still have Valentine's Day front and center. So I need to fix that. So let's do some Easter designs because Easter's, coming quick, but not here yet. So when you see our Easter designs, or I should say, when you see any of our designs, we just use this generic do not copy watermark. We don't use anything that says we print. Basically what you can do here, let's say you like this one earth as it is in heaven. So you can right click on this screen. You can copy image. We're going to go into Canva. You're going to click on your artboard and you can either right click and go to paste, or you can use Control V and it's going to paste that image. Oh, that's fun. That is not what I clicked on. Let's try that again. Copy image. Okay, and if this doesn't work, okay, I've got another way that you can go about it. The other way you could do it is you can right click on this image. You can say save image as. I like to put it in my downloads folder because I feel like that's the easiest way to find it. The default file name is basically the what you see kind of in the image, and then we're going to hit save. Now you'll go back into Canva and you're going to upload. You need to grab that file out of your downloads folder. You're going to upload it into Canva. Go to your downloads folder. There's that image. We're going to double click on that. It's loading it into my Canva account. Single click on it and it's going to bring it over here. Now with Canva, you can click on elements and you can search shirt mockup. And again, depending on what subscription you have, if you're on a free version, there are probably still mockups, but you don't have as many to choose from. But if you're on the paid version, there's a ton of mockups. You could also go out to Etsy. There's a lot of really talented photographers out there that do a great job of creating like this style mockup is called a flat lay. Mockups that will show a person in them, which I don't see any right now. Sometimes it might be a man or a lady or a child. Here we go. This here. This is a woman. this would be considered a lifestyle. To me, like a lifestyle mock-up is, I don't know, something more like this, where the background is a little bit more intriguing. Flat lays are okay. So here we go. This is a lifestyle mock-up here. So let's go ahead. Let's use that. Now, all I did was I single clicked and it brought this over. Now you can see this image came in and it's on top of my shirt image. All you have to do is if you click right click on either of them, you basically just need to adjust your layers. So I'm going to say send backward, or you could say send to back if you know that it's going to go all the way back. I like to make my mock-up as big as I possibly can, so that way people looking at it can really see the design. And you just kind of want to play around with the size and the placement. This particular model has a necklace, so it kind of makes the placement of that design a little tricky. Yes, there's a watermark on there, but I think most graphic designers are happy when they see that, because now with that watermark on there, believe it or not, there are people that will send us an image that looks just like this it's a picture of a shirt. And they will ask us to print transfers out of that. We will decline the artwork just because it's not print ready by the standards that we set. But you know, this also makes having this watermark here also makes it really difficult for somebody to zoom in and try to remove that background and basically steal the image and print it. The designers don't charge a lot for these images, so I don't really understand why people feel the need to kind of skim them off of websites. So there you have it. There is your first mock-up. So on these now, to be able to export this out of Canva so that you could then share it in your social media platforms or put it on your website, you know, put it wherever you want. What I would do for these types of images, because this does not need to be a print ready file, because we're not going to print from this file. You can actually use a smaller version of this file as long as you're putting it on a website or somewhere on social media. It doesn't have to be such high resolution. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click download. And I mean, I pretty much leave this right to where it defaults. You do not want to click transparent background in this case. Otherwise, your person with your shirt is not going to print, or it's not going to save in your file. So we're not going to put a check mark there. We're just going to click download, and it's going to basically download this image out of Canva. It's going to put it in our download folder, and there it is. So, you know, you can see I have a Windows computer, so you can see if I go to my downloads folder, there is my mock-up. And so now that's available for me to put on social media, or on my you know, pages or website or wherever you want to put that. So if you have any questions, I'm going to start transitioning to answering some questions. Let's see, when you bring the images into the gang sheet, should you have done the beginning steps you did to them at the beginning of the course? Yeah, if you're referring to, so I'm sorry, one of the questions is, when you bring the images into your gang sheet, should you have done the beginning steps you did to them at the beginning of the course? If you're referring to trimming out that transparent space, absolutely. You want to get your images as clean as possible. Generally, if you're buying them off of Etsy, the artists have gotten really good about making sure that they're pretty much ready to go. But depending on, you know, where you're buying them, sometimes getting good artwork from your customers can be very difficult, especially if it's a small business. A lot of them don't have a transparent PNG or a vector version of their logo. If they don't, that's where you can reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you with that. New to this, so gang sheet, just so you can put smaller images on one page to save money. Yeah, I mean, and when you say smaller, it doesn't need to be small. It doesn't need to be, you know, pocket size. They can be 10, 11, 12. They can be as big as you want. Basically, the limitation is the width is 22 inches, and then your length is whatever you choose. We offer 24 inches, 60 inches, 96 inches, and 120 inches. But yeah, you're going to get your lowest cost per transfer, if you will, if you're loading them to gang sheets. The game day image that you used, is that margin acceptable? Yeah, so if you were talking about how close I had game day on the gang sheet that we built, yeah, as long as, and let me see if I can zoom in on that. So when you zoom in, you can see that it is really close to the edge, but it's not touching and it's not beyond. So this will print without a problem. It's not going to get cut off. The thing to keep in mind is we're telling you that the printable area is 22 inches. The truth is it's actually like 22 and a quarter. Or actually it might even be 22 and a half, just, and it gives you an extra quarter inch on each side. And that cushion is there just in case your image goes over by a hair. We're trying to put that protection in there for you. But we have seen where images just go too far over and it gets cut off and it just doesn't work. And then let's see. Can you tell us how to put a watermark on? Yeah. So you know, let's use this game day image here as an example. So if you want to have a watermark, you can either create your own watermark or you can go to Etsy and you can buy, you know, different watermark designs. I'm going to use this screen here. All right, so I'm going to use this game day image. You can see there's no watermark on here. And just to make sure that that watermark is, yeah, I'm going to leave the gray background. Okay. So to create a watermark, you could do it in a few different ways. I mean, it could, if you wanted to create like a do not copy, kind of like what we have, this is all I did. I went to text. I said add a subheading, and I put my caps lock on and I said do not copy. I'm going to highlight that text and I'm going to turn that black text to white. Now, some people might even do it as simple as like this, right? Although it's not covering the entire image, it's obnoxious enough cutting through the center where somebody's not going to be able to steal this. Now, obviously, you want your customer to be able to see the game day design a little bit better. This do not copy is so bold and harsh that it really interferes with your ability to see that design. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this do not copy. We're going to go up to this little checkerboard here, and this is called transparency. And so this is a slider bar. So at 100%, that means this is 100% white. So we want to basically slide this down, and I go as far down as I can. So that you can see it cutting through the image. And if I were to print this, you would see it print like over the top of this. But on the screen, let me see if I zoom in, if you'll see it. Yeah, actually it's there. You could see it. So with going down to that transparency as low as I did, you can barely see it on the letters or on your design. But it's there enough so that you're protecting the image. Now, if you wanted to have something that is more like what I have where it's just do not copy on repeat, then basically all I did there here we go again with the non-level. Oh, it makes me crazy. There we go. So I'm going to copy and paste. Copy and paste. Now with your watermark, this doesn't matter if it's overlapping on the edges or off the edge of your design because you're not printing it anyway. And then what I do is I'm going to select these three, copy and paste. And then I'm going to select all 6 of them, but not the game day design. I'm actually going to move this out of the way. You can see I'm just, as I'm making more copies, I'm kind of incorporating them into my copy and paste so that way I don't have to type this 500 times. There. So now we've got a full background of this. Now, what you could do here is what I would suggest is that you would save this, you would download it. You don't need to worry about the resolution. Check the transparent background. We're going to download it. This should make sense to you in just a minute why I'm doing this. Basically, what I'm doing is with it sitting on the artboard in Canva, you can't really use it on other images. So what I'm doing is I'm exporting it, and now I'm going to upload it into my Canva account. And so now that's available for every image that I bring in. So let's say, so here's soccer mom, and I put that here. Oh, my watermark on that. I do like to make sure that for the layers that the watermark is always in the front. And because these are grayed out, it means it's already in the front. And then we can crop that down. And now, so now I've got the watermark on that one. We'll bring in game day. Put down our watermark. Put it right over the top of it. Make it a little bit bigger so that it covers the whole thing, if that's, if that's what you're concerned about. We'll do one more. And there you go. So that's how you would, create your own watermark, and you could make it look however you want, whether it's got do not copy or words or pictures or however you want to do it. Let's see here. Awesome. I'm glad that was helpful. All right. Let's see. So we did mockups. I think the only other thing that I have left. So we did all this. Remember, shoot me an email at hello@weprint.com if you want me to email a link to this recording and then these slides. Otherwise, I will get it posted to Facebook, and I'll probably send it out in an email blast at some point next week. I did include, so these are just some of the basic art guidelines. This is not the full list. You definitely would want to visit our website and go under, where is it? Under getting started, image requirements. And then this is what's going to give you kind of the full list of everything that you need to be aware of. There's a lot of little details that you have to just learn about and educate yourself on. So, number one point to remember is that we print exactly what you send to us. Shadow and glow effects around the perimeter of your design are not recommended with DTF. So you have to think about it. That adhesive that is on the back of your transfers, that gets applied first as a powder, then it goes through the oven and it cooks into the ink and it forms that kind of orange peel feeling layer. So because it's a powder, it's a solid substance, it's virtually impossible to create a shadow or a glow. The powder is either there or it's not. So, I would say if you have a design where you do have a shadow or a glow, I always encourage you to have like a test print done. Sometimes it comes out okay and you'll like it. Other times it just doesn't look right. And I would rather you order one or two of them, find out it's not good, than potentially, 100 or 200 for a customer and not like them, because there's really nothing we can do at that point. Ensure your art has a transparent background. Ensure that all of the transparent space around the perimeter has been removed, so that way you can get more accurate sizing, especially when you're building out your gang sheets. Raster-based art or your PNGs need to be at least the size of your largest transfer. You cannot send us a PNG that's 3 inches and 300 DPI and ask for 12-inch transfers. The transfer is going to look like crap. It's going to be blurry and pixelated, and you're not going to be happy with it. If you create your art at a larger size, then we can downsize it. We just cannot go the other way. If it's a vector-based image, those are usually like a .ai or a .eps. At that point, size and resolution, it's not applicable. And then again, just a quick note that says vector-based art will always give you the best quality transfer. Now, when I'm saying that, I'm meaning for like logos and symbols and icons. A photograph of a human really can't be converted into a vector. They will end up looking more like a cartoon. So if that's what you're going for, then it might work. But most people are not happy with that result. So just kind of be aware of that. All right. And then I just as kind of a thank you for everybody that joined us and kind of hung out with me for the last hour and a half, I did put together some discounts. So you can use the code CanvaTrain20 and get 20% off of your next purchase. That code will work on our custom gang sheets and our ready to press design transfers. Anybody that's been following us for a while knows that we don't really put our gang sheets on sale very often, only because they can be very labor intensive. There can be a lot of back and forth sometimes with customers, with us trying to help them and make sure that they're, going to get the quality that they want. But we are allowing this code to be used on both of those. I don't have an expiration date on this, so that way if you're watching a replay, as long as you have not used this code, it will work. But I do have it set to limit 1 per customer. So once you have used this code, you won't be able to use it again on an order. And then I do have, I did post a quick course. It's called Canva Crash Course. It's only $27. With Canva Crash, using that as your code, you can save another 20% off of that. I'll give you kind of a quick preview of what that looks like, but it is on the website. If you search the word Canva or Canva Crash, it will come up. But this is, doesn't want to load. This is basically it here. So it's kind of made to look like a notebook. It's got a few different modules. So getting started with Canva, there are some embedded. So there's a lot of, there's some text, there's photos. There is also some embedded videos in here to be able to, kind of help walk you through. Here's a video here to be able to walk you through just some more tips and tricks on how to use Canva. This particular training will go into great detail on all of the menu bars across the top and kind of how to use them and what the different icons mean. It will go over the tools, all of the tools that go down the left side of your screen. Let's see, and then it'll talk about photo grids. These frames are really cool. You can do some really fun things with those. A video on photo frames, some more information on editing tools, locking your design elements. There's ways that you can group your images together so that way, if you created a mock-up, if you've got a t-shirt and you centered the logo where you want it, and then you move the t-shirt, now the logo's not where you want it. If you group those items together, you can move them as one cohesive group of images, and then you don't have to worry about, having stuff not lined up appropriately. So you can just kind of see we've got stuff on font pairing, how to share your projects. I think you guys will find this pretty helpful. You can kind of customize it, for your own as well. So if you go to the website, actually, I think I just put it on the home page too. I just uploaded the slider banner here. As it slides through, here is that Canva crash course here. You can click on buy now and it will take you right there. This is a digital download. Nothing is going to be mailed to you. You'll get an email back within, I think I said allow 30 minutes, but generally you'll have it within 2 minutes. Check your spam folder if you don't see it. Otherwise, send us an email if you don't get it, and we can always manually trigger the the files to go to you. So let me see. I think that is everything. Yep, went over that. So, and let me just make sure I answered all your questions. Email again, yes. So send me an email at hello@weprint.com. You could also go to the website. There's a tab at the bottom where you can send us a message. So the website is weprint.com. And if you go all the way to the bottom, where is it? Submit your art request. You can click on that, and that is just like a little message form. So whatever is easier for you, you can either reach out to us through that particular tab or just send us an email, and we will reply to you most likely tomorrow. So the crash course is $27. And then if you use that discount code, you'll get 20% off of the $27. So what is that? That's I think like $23, $22, somewhere in that range. So, all right. Well, if you think of any questions after, we kind of call it a night, you can always comment on the video post that we'll put up in our Facebook group, or you can send me an email. Let me know if this is helpful. Would love your feedback, good and bad. If there's things that I could do better next time, please let me know. If you felt like you learned something, I would love to know what you found helpful. And again, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for the last hour and a half. I wasn't quite sure how long this was going to go. So I hope you feel that it was worth it. And I hope everybody has a great Thursday night and a wonderful weekend if we don't talk. Thank you so much.